probably wondering why the tire was needing to be reinflated, the brand new tire that has not even seen the roads yet. Well, let me tell you, I found a leak in the valve stem, so I have to go take that tire off and take it back to the shop, have them put it on a new valve stem, and then, do the process over again. But that is changing up my plan, as in this video I was intending to do the suspension adjustment on this car, but since that isn't going to happen, or I don't want to do it while I have a bunk wheel, I'm going to instead work on the roof and tackle getting this rust out of the little sunroof area, and then just hit the rest of the roof with some maybe like 400 grit and primer it. So I'm not gonna go ham on the trim, the windows. I'm just gonna basically do what I can to tackle this rust primarily. Let's just jump right into it. I taped off the roof and the sunroof, and I think I'm about ready to hit it with a sander and then deal with the primary rust, which is all in this little lip area around the edge of the sunroof. So we'll tackle that little by little, and we'll get the palm sander started and get some of the bulk of the roof knocked out. This is day 2 of the roof project, and it's looking good so far. I've probably got about 90% of the rust removed from this sunroof edge, and I've gone ahead and hit the whole roof with just some block sanding, and I'm gonna do more, definitely for sure, but I've uncovered some more rust spots, so I've taken that down to bare metal. This corner here definitely had some rust and still does right on the edge, but I'm hesitant to tackle it any further because I'm not removing the window trim, and there's a good reason for that. The window trim on these cars is super delicate at their current age, and taking them off is probably going to break most, if not all, of the clips. So I haven't figured out how I want to tackle that yet. I do want to remove the glass on this car and pull all the window trim out. That way I can uncover any rust that's sitting around the window moldings, but unfortunately I'm just not at that point yet. So I'm going to tackle what I can for rust on the major panels, and then I'm going to go back around and fine tune this thing. I don't know if you guys can hear that. We've got some thunder rolling in, so I wanted to do this update before it started absolutely downpouring. So eventually we'll take out the window trim and uncover any hidden gems underneath there and deal with them. But for now, we're just going to continue panel by panel and tackle what we can without removing the window trim. So that corner, I'm going to just do my best, but it's going to get more work done to it in the long run. Yeah, these clouds are looking pretty gnarly, and there's rolling thunder in the distance, so I'm sure it's going to make its way over here. And what could be better when I've got an open sunroof and I'm tackling bodywork with exposed bare metal? It's just the little things in life. Make it more interesting. With this impending rain, I decided to drop down the, whatever this thing's called, this tent, down to its lower level, so that way it kind of covers most of the roof, and if it does rain, it'll be hitting below the roof line, so that should work out. But look at this guy, eh? This thing is huge. The canopy actually did a great job of keeping the Prelude roof dry, so I'm just going to get right back into sanding and hopefully put some paint on this before the sun goes down. I've done quite the excellent wrap job here, just taping up the edges, and I'm just about ready to hit this roof with some primer. I just finished wiping it down with some acetone, and we're just gonna give it a send and get some primer onto it, seal it all up before the sun goes down here. the next day, and this is how the roof turned out. I'm very, very happy with it. To no longer have that clear coat peel with the really terrible black vinyl wrap that I rocked for a couple years, just to have it all at least sanded down with one color looks really nice. All of the rust I took care of on the inner rim of the sunroof, so we'll obviously over time I will check back on it, make sure there's no new rust coming through. If there is, I'll go back and continue removing it, but I think that's gonna be the roof for now, and I want to move on to getting this wheel off because I need to go and have the tire shop put on a new valve stem and then remount the tire. And in the meantime, I need to finish this last wheel arch, or at least do what I can with it. I uncovered another hole underneath right here, unfortunately. Where is it? Right there. It's hard to show you, but there's another hole underneath the rocker. I'm gonna try and clean up at least all of the arch. And then, you know what, the rust that I don't take care of, like I said, later on, I will either cut it out, put new metal in, or go back with like maybe something more intense like POR 15 and really take care of the rust and eliminate it. But if it's bad enough, like the holes are on the bottom, I might just leave it for now and then have someone who can weld, cut it out, put some new metal in. And I forgot to mention, I'm like 4 for 4 on pulling these trim pieces off. I haven't broken any clips yet, knock on wood. To get that one off, I had to remove this piece of plastic here, and then I pulled back this piece here and reached my hand in, and from the inside pinched those clips to push out the trim piece. Track of what day this is, but this is the progress. I've gotten most of the rust, at least on the outer part of the fender, down to bare metal. A little bit of rust back there, and then a little bit more to deal with on this front side, but I've run out of sandpaper. I need to go get some more 120 grit, maybe some 80 grit, something a little bit tougher. And then I may grab some primer and some POR 15 while I'm out. My thoughts being to hit the really rusty spots with POR 15 to at least stop them from re-rusting or growing anymore. Picked up some POR 15, which if you guys remember, that's what I used on the trunk to get rid of all that rust and cover the metal that was left. And then I also picked up some more sandpaper, both 120 and 80 grit. The 80 grit I just used, and it definitely makes a pretty big difference. It's just more effective at taking away more material. So the good news is, boys, we've got some fresh metal, more than I anticipated having, especially around the arch itself. And the POR 15 is going to go on spots like this where the rust is pitted and even caused holes. I'm not necessarily going to hit the arches with rust, maybe the back sides of them. The POR 15 is mostly going to go on these really rough areas and eventually underneath the rockers to get at least temporarily stop the rust from expanding and making those holes any bigger. Plan is to tackle this trunk. It should be pretty easy. There's really not a lot of rust that I know of on there, so I'm just gonna start by taking off all the badges, taking off this Peugeot spoiler, and then I will probably actually remove the whole trunk to do the sanding, so that way I don't have to tape off all the window trim and all that. So that's the plan. Tackle the trunk, see if we can knock it out. Just finished up with 4 coats of primer on the trunk. This one was actually pretty easy as far as all the panels go. There was only a little bit of rust on each of these corners here, so I just got that down to bare metal. A couple minor little rust spots here and there, but compared to what we've been doing or what I've had to tackle on the wheel arches, this was a piece of cake. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then we'll go ahead and put this back on the car, so that way if it rains I don't have to worry about having the trunk totally open. Pretty nicely. I would say maybe close to the halfway mark with all the panel coverage, but this is how the Prelude looks right now. Pretty stoked. It looks crazy. Also, I have a new tire valve stem, so I can put the tire back on the back. So we got a new valve stem put in this tire because it was leaking before, and they actually recommended that I don't go with one of the chrome ones. They ended up putting in this little short snubby one here, but it's rubber. They said the chrome ones are just super prone to leaking on the metal on metal contact. So rubber it is, but they kept the chrome stem cap, which is nice. A lot of good progress so far on the Prelude. I'm really happy with how it's coming out, and to be doing it just little by little, it's very rewarding. I've got the trunk on, I've got all 4 wheels back on with no more leaky tire, and this is starting to look really awesome. Not to mention, I ended up getting the headlight covers done as well, which I'm pretty stoked about, and then just obviously cleaning as I'm going, making sure that I'm not putting these nice parts back on to crusty plastic or dirty, grimy parts that are just not gonna do it justice. So it's really coming out looking awesome so far. I'm excited to finish up the rest of the panels and get this thing totally covered in primer and ready for whatever is next, whether that's gonna be paint or wrap. You guys put down in the comments what you think I should do once this thing is all fixed up and covered in primer. Also, it's been a minute since you guys have seen the Prelude without the rear Peugeot spoiler. Just spoilerless Prelude. That'll do it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Comments what you guys think of the project so far, and thumbs up for the hard work and plugging away at it slowly but surely. I will see you guys in the next episode. Keep elevating, my friends. Adios.